Kozversation talks with the world's most interesting people. And now, this week's Kozversation. Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to another edition of Kozversations, coming to you from the studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles, California. And as always, we bring you some of the most interesting people in the worlds of entertainment, politics, and beyond. And today, I'm delighted to be bringing a gentleman that is familiar to lots of people for a couple of particular roles. We'll get to that, but he's so much more than what people usually assume. And he has been an accomplished actor in numerous stage, television, and screen appearances. And also, we'll be discussing the fact that, unbeknownst to many, he actually has an amazing singing voice that he's renowned for. He's going to be appearing in the Pasadena production of the Beauty and the Beast, A Christmas Rose Panto production at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium from December 13 to 24. And as mentioned before, he's known for a couple of roles in 16 Candles, Gung Ho, but has done so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gedde Watanabe, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What a nice send-off.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Yeah, so, it's a thrill to talk to you. And we'll talk about the play quite a bit first. And then, if you don't mind, I'll like to ask you a few things about your career and beyond that. So, but first of all, you're going to be doing this Panto production, which is kind of a unique thing that has become a phenomenon in Pasadena, and I believe it's starting to grow elsewhere. But it's produced by the people behind either Dancing with the Stars or So You Think You Could Dance. I'm forgetting that. Forgive me. But the Lithgow family and
the Lithgow family, yeah.
Yeah. Which dance show are they with? Is it So You Think You Could Dance or Dancing with the Stars? Or do you know?
I'm not sure.
That's cool.
I actually am not sure which one. The musical director is Michael Orland, who I've known since way back in my New York days at the piano bars. He used to play it. So I would assume that it. I thought that it was I thought that it was the singing, what do you call it? The one that.
No, it's one of the dance
not
shows.
The Voice, the other one. There's so many of them that I can't remember which one is which.
Exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, the point being that these shows, they take like classic fairy tales and they mix them with like in a very family-friendly way with like popular pop songs of the present day, and the audience is encouraged to sing along, and the actors dance into the audience and things like that. And they're very colorblind and very eclectic. So. We're just bringing people up to speed what these are. So, what do you feel about doing? Have you done one of these pantos before? I know you did the Fantastics earlier.
I have never ever done one of these before, so this is completely new to me, and a new experience for me actually. And I'm actually quite excited. I've heard about them. I've heard several stories about that. I've never even seen one, and now this makes me want to years ahead to come and look in the audience and watch in the audience, because I know it's very family friendly, and I know that apparently that children really love this, and I think that's just quite fun. Sounds like fun, and it's great for the holidays too. I mean, it's a perfect timing between the holidays and a great way to celebrate the holidays.
Well,
for me personally.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, what do you play in the play? Is it a part that's familiar to people?
I play Marcel, which is Bella's father.
Oh, okay.
So, total colorblind there.
That's great.
No one knows how that happened, but I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, because you did the Fantastics. You did the Fantastics earlier this year. I interviewed you. Unfortunately, I didn't have my phone recording thing set up then, so you're very kind to come back and talk to me again. But that was also colorblind casting, if I recall.
Yeah.
So is this like a refreshing trend that you're able to find work in at other theaters in other cities, or is this something that Pasadena seems to be particularly progressive in?
Well, I think obviously the Playhouse has been, part of that whole genre of trying to do colorblind. So I really thank them for that. That's kind of, and it's fun. It's fun for us. It's fun that we don't have to sit down and explain ourselves or our situation. It's just more about the situation of the play. which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's great. So, what do you think is the biggest challenge of this production? Have you already done the rehearsals, or are you guys starting later?
No, we don't start till after Thanksgiving, after the day after Thanksgiving. Uh, I, this is really interesting. I mean, I don't know how much I could suggest when it comes to changes or something like that, but I'll soon find out. I don't know how much is improv. I don't know. This is all new territory as we speak, so it's actually quite exciting for me. In some, I just hope I can bring something to it that makes it worthwhile and coming to.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's going to be a blast because, I mean, that's quite a phenomenon. I mean, they went from doing 47 shows last year and having to constantly add to get to that because it was selling out at the Playhouse at 300 seats or so. And then they took it to the Civic Auditorium, 10 times the size, 3,000 people you could be playing to.
My goodness. This is all new to me, too. So you're even scaring me more.
Oh, God. I know, right? Yeah. Have you ever been? What would you say the biggest stage show you've done is? Because, like I said, a lot of people are familiar with a couple particular things. I'm trying to be cool and spotlight things that people don't know about you first. So, what's your proudest stage accomplishment? That biggest crowd or best play or whatever that you think you really got to take it to another level?
I still go back to Pacific Overtures. That was just a phenomena in itself.
Huh.
And it was such, I don't think at that time I was 18, 19 years old. I don't think anybody at that age could have ever had such a better opportunity than that to work with, Sondheim and Prince. So
wow.
There you go. It couldn't get any better than that.
And that's a director, Harold Prince, right? Not
yes, it is.
Not Prince.
Harold
just so people know who aren't familiar with the theater. It wasn't that you were doing. That would be an unusual show if you had Stephen Sondheim and Prince from Little Red Corvette. So just clarifying for people.
You're right.
So turned Little Red Corvette into a big musical dance number or something, but. So Pacific Overtures, you played 3 roles in that, and that was a big Broadway thing. So, what was it, coming in that young? I mean, my God, you came out of Ogden, Utah, and you were like a Japanese American family. Your mom had been interned during the World War II stuff, and then to be able to debut on Broadway that young, that must have been mind blowing for them and for you, no?
Well, it was so unknown to me. I didn't really know. Actually, I didn't really know much about stage even then. So I guess this is kind of the same, not quite the same, but a little bit of the same unknown territory. I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
Wow.
And that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when they was hired for Overtures. I wasn't really sure what to expect.
Okay. So then, with regard to you went pretty quick into movies with 16 Candles, and how old were you when that happened?
Oh gosh, I was 30 then. See, I did a lot. I studied a lot in New York. I lived and worked in New York for about after I was 18, 10, 11 years, and I was lucky because I was able to, still do theater. I did a lot of stuff with Joe Papp's theater and the Public Theater when he was head of the helm there, and then I just studied with really good teachers as much as I could, and I did have a day job though, which I really loved. I worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And that was really a fun. And they would always let me go, do shows if I was hired. So and I could always go back to the museum. So I was very lucky. I was very fortunate. New York was a great place for me.
Well, so do you mind if I ask you 3 or 4 questions about 16 Candles, and also ask about some other things? But
sure.
Okay, yeah. Cool. But with 16 Candles, how did that actually come about? Or are you saying it was a New York audition that led to that, or
It was.
Okay.
I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't know very much about it. I just went in on an audition, just like everybody else. But I went in as the character, and so
Oh wow, no way.
it was just a goof for me.
Wow.
I didn't even think very much about it, and it became what it was, I guess, just because of that. But I was busily still studying and doing other things before that came about, so I had no idea.
Wow. So I mean, so that's fascinating to me that so you went in character, like basically like full on did you show up like at the audition pretending to be actually like
Oh,
a citizen?
I think
Student?
yeah, no. In fact, I think John Hughes didn't realize till later. I think it was like 2 weeks later. I had to go up and tell him that I wasn't from another country, and
No way.
I can't even remember what country I picked.
Yeah. Wow. So
And he was kind of taken back by the fact that I did that. So
wow.
we became, yeah.
Well, so then, so basically, you were hired, and or was it later in the audition process that the 2 weeks that you told him before you were hired, or after the fact?
Oh no, it was after. In fact,
Wow.
Jackie Birch, who was the casting director, told me not to tell him,
Oh, wow.
and we kept it a secret for quite a while. It was pretty funny, actually.
No, yeah.
It was nerve-wracking, though.
Well, I bet it is. I mean,
essentially, I was lying.
well, yeah. But the thing is, that did you did you set the parameters of how wacky that character was, or did he push you further?
I think he had it pretty much, and then I just kept adding to it. It's one of those things that I would keep adding to it, and I go, let me try this and try that. So it was there. You can usually see that there's something that's wacky there, and then you just see how far you can go, basically.
Wow. So then, I guess because just to be straightforward with you, I worship the ground that John Hughes walked on. So all these questions I find are just my genuine fandom or trying to figure out like what your thoughts were about things. So none of this is like intended in any critical way. I was just wondering, like you occasionally have caught flack from people about, oh well, that was really a stereotype and things like that. Do you think? A, what would be your answer to that? And B, do you think that they could do this kind of role today?
To be honest with you, it was a stereotype.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem basically was more than that. I think it was the only image that was coming out for Asian people at that time. So I could see how people kind of reacted the way they wanted to react, but one thing that you always have to keep in mind is that it's a comedy. I wasn't changing the world with this role. It was just basically comedy to me.
Yeah. Well, so then, what was your like any favorite or memories general of what it was like to work with John Hughes? Because a lot of people, he's really beloved and missed, and he was very reclusive,
Oh, yeah.
long before
Yeah.
he died. And so just wondering if you have any memories of something perhaps unique or in general what his creative approach was like.
Well, I just think that he made you feel really comfortable. I knew I was older than most everybody in the cast, so I kind of was a little bit worried about that. And then he just knew what to do in the given situation. It was just, what was great is that he felt like everybody else. He didn't feel like he was the adult on the set.
Yeah.
Liked to play with everybody else and he was at everybody's level. It was really lovely to be around him. Certainly.
Yeah.
You never didn't feel uncomfortable, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about being surrounded by, like you're saying, you were a little bit older than the other actors? Could you tell at all, like, hey, that people that they were onto something with Molly Ringwald or Anthony